Grab yourself a drink and get comfortable, guys, because this is going to be a good one. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. I'm really excited about today's episode because we're doing something special. I have hooked up with PSG YouTuber Red and Blue, and we have done a combined preview of tomorrow night's game of PSG and Chelsea in the Club World Cup final. Red and Blue is a PSG YouTuber who does all of his content in English, so if you are interested in PSG but don't speak French, absolutely check him out. I will be leaving the link to his channel in the description. But yeah, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, and here it is, like the big one, the Club World Cup final and the end of a very, very, very long season for us PSG fans. I've got with me my mate Matt from the Stamford Sync, great channel on YouTube for all things Chelsea, and we thought we'd do something a little bit different today, kind of join forces and do a full-on preview of the games from both sides of the pitch with both teams in mind. So yeah, let's just slide straight into it. How are you doing, Matt?
Yeah, I'm really good, man. Thanks so much for having me as well. It's been really looking forward to this one. But yeah, I'm good. I'm nervous. I'm very, very nervous.
Yeah. I saw your preview and I saw you say you'll take just a small defeat.
Yeah. As long as we don't end up like Real Madrid did, where you put 4 goals past us and we basically weren't there, then I can walk away and be like, okay, we went toe to toe with the champions, man. That's kind of cool, right?
Honestly, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to do better than them because, the Real Madrid game was pretty shocking. It can be hard to do a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, saying that though, like it's not the first time you've put 4 goals past someone in this competition either. Do you know what I mean? So that's definitely our attacking play is pretty good, and our midfield is getting there, but there's definitely some suspect holes in our backline. So I'm a little bit worried, but yeah, we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, I think you're right because we did put 4 past Atletico Madrid to begin with, and then past Inter Miami in the first knockoff round. I'll say though, the Atletico Madrid game, Atletico was essentially in the US on holiday. I don't think they took this competition very seriously. Even then, if you look, we scored 2 of the 4 goals, literally in the last 5 minutes of the game.
Right, so they just checked out.
Yeah, because the level of fitness has been such an important component and something where each team is coming at very, very different level. That I think that might have played off there. I mean, Inter Miami, obviously, they're a collective 105 years old on average. The first 45 minutes, Messi really discovered where it's to run, and that didn't go well for them.
Isn't that actually Luis Enrique's treble-winning team mostly makes up of Inter Miami?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. It's funny because all of the PSG fans were clamoring to get a big win on Messi, and obviously things didn't end so well between us with him. All of the fans were pretty juiced up about it. And at the same time, Luis Enrique was like, "Oh, we're all friends. We all love each other, and it's all good."
Yeah, well, winning does things to you like that, doesn't it? It's everyone likes a bit of success. Sure. It's easy to forget about previous misnomers when there's a couple of wins in the bag, for sure.
Definitely. So how's the Club World Cup been going for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's to compare it to PSG's run, we're not playing the same competition so far, are we? Let's be completely honest. You guys have had to play Atletico Madrid, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, on your road to this final. Yeah. And we've played 3 Brazilian teams, a Tunisian team, an American team, and don't get me wrong, right? The Brazilian teams have been amazing. They're obviously really do you know what I mean? They're used to playing in this heat. They're in the middle of their seasons too. So, it's not like us where we're at the end of our season and everyone's knackered. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it feels a little bit more like a Europa League campaign. Do you know what I mean? Not quite up until now, obviously. And now we're going to end up against you guys, which is terrifying, by the way. But no, it's been really fun to watch. And the weird thing from a Chelsea perspective, honestly, is because obviously we've got our American owners and they transfer windows open and they're crazy for it. There's so much transfer noise going on in between these games and stuff as well. That's kind of making it a little bit more nervy than I think it otherwise should be. For instance, Noni Madueke's just signed for Arsenal and we're playing this final tomorrow. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So although I've really enjoyed it, it's been great to see Liam Delap and João Pedro and really good, starting to see Cole Palmer get back to his best has obviously been amazing. But it's been a little bit hard to like completely throw yourself behind the team because in between each game, we're buying or selling a new player and the team makeup keeps changing. And that obviously, well, I say obviously, it might be affecting the mentality of the team. So, it's been good. And I do like the competition. I was not sure right at the beginning. I was like, it feels a bit weird to have it in this international kind of spot. But I think this competition is going to be massive in a few years, man. And mostly I'm here for it.
Yeah. I think it was like, it ended up actually being better than expected. And I think obviously, like, if you're supporting one of the teams who are in the final, like, obviously you're having a better time than all of the others out there. I'm guessing, Bayern Munich fan might be saying that's just a cash competition, no interest and so on. But same thing for us. I think like when it started, like literally the preview I did of the Club World Cup, I remember saying like, honestly, like if we lose in the group phase, I really don't mind. We won the Champions League anyway. Like our season is good already. And like if we can get some extra time on holiday, given how long the season has been, I'll definitely take that and I'll be happy with it. But then like after every game, you look at the next one and you always find a reason to actually like dress up for it as well.
Yeah.
So I kind of fell into it as we went, and now we're going into the final. So you got to play the game and kind of play it to the best of your ability anyway.
It's one of them, isn't it? Like at the start of the competition, like I was the same. I was like, if we get knocked out, whatever. But now, now we're in the final. It's like if we win, we're the champions of the world.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I just want the win, so like no one can contest the Ballon d'Or for Dembele. I think that's the main one for us.
He scored 4 or 5 goals in this competition already. I think even if Chelsea do it, man, I think Dembele's probably got that locked up, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's got it locked up now, man. The season he's had has been like outstanding, and he's playing. He's like at a whole different level now. It's crazy. Yeah. What are you guys like looking at in terms of starting 11? Because I know like there were a couple of players who were like not so sure, even like up front, like moving pieces as well. What is it looking like for you guys?
So this is kind of what I was talking about before, right? Because all this transfer news keeps on happening. All of a sudden, it's not even just about are they the right fit tactically? It's are their heads going to be in the game? Like, if we hadn't have heard the news about Noni Madueke going to Arsenal in the last week, I'd probably be like, we'll probably start Noni Madueke because, do you know what I mean? It just seems like, he's played a few games in the competition for us. He's starting to look comfortable on that left wing. But as soon as the Arsenal news came along, all of a sudden he's dropped. So it's a really strange one. So my starting 11...
You guys have like 53 professional players anyway, right? It's like shouldn't make that much of a difference.
It's just one of those things, isn't it? It's like now instead of being like, we'll play these players because the fluidity's there and the familiarity's there, all of a sudden it's become, let's put João Pedro on because he's unpredictable. Do you know what I mean? And the goal, excuse the pun, but the goalposts just keep moving. So with my starting 11, I've tried to go with, it's not an 11 we've ever put out. Do you know what I mean? But I'm just trying to think of the game in a vacuum, like in isolation, just this game, kind of trying to forget about everything else and looking at the opposition we've got in front of us and forgetting about how we've got here or whatever. And like I say, that's largely based on the fact that we've had so many changes recently. Like obviously Liam Delap, this was his first tournament with us and he's kind of had a mixed kind of tournament so far. Goal and an assist in 3 games is really good, but disciplinary issues in the last game, not so good. And obviously then João Pedro comes out of literally nowhere and scores 2 unbelievable goals against Fluminense. So like I say,
where was he before João Pedro? He was in Brighton, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Man, there's talent there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he looks amazing, man. And it's a really strange one with him as well, because obviously we've also signed Jamie Gittins in this competition, but he hasn't been able to play for us because he was cup-tied with Dortmund. And that news has been going on for like 6 months. Do you know what I mean? The Jamie Gittins news and the João Pedro news has popped up and down a couple of times, but it seemed like it wasn't going to happen. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like, right, João Pedro's yours now. He's flying out and he's going to join you for the competition. And it's like, getting whiplash from all these signings, man. Do you know what I mean? But a good surprise because, mate, he looks like a real player, doesn't he?
No, for sure. Yeah, for us it's been a bit different because ultimately, like, we haven't had any transfers going into this conversation. The only one the conversation that's been going on has been for Zabarni, like the central defender from Bournemouth. That Luis Enrique and Luis Campos seem super intent on signing, but just finding a deal with Bournemouth has just not been that easy. And yeah, PSG for the past couple of seasons, we've been a bit more reasonable in terms of, not just dropping our pants and getting whatever for whatever money. So it's been basically the whole thing. And yeah, he hasn't joined yet. So we're basically running with the same squad, which is for us, it's a big issue because one, our starting 11 at this point is very, very straightforward and very well established. And this is literally game 65 of the season for PSG. So when we're saying it's been a long season, it's been like incredible. Like, we've played every game we could possibly play.
That's mad, isn't it?
And the Champions League, like, there's been extra games this year between like 2 extra in the group phase plus the knockoff round before the knockoff round. Like, it's been nonstop. It's been crazy. And so our players, it's been the whole competition for Luis Enrique. It's been a game of like just trying to maintain mental and physical fitness. Of course. Now it's like in between games, literally, like, they've got 2 days off and like, one 15-minute training session, and they just go into the next game. And like, they just keep working like this. So, like, I think they're just willing to get on holiday now. So yeah.
I guess the thing is, though, that kind of like works a lot more for you than it does for us, because we're in such a transitional phase. Like I say, players coming in and out and this and that and the other. That Maresca's got a lot more like tactical work to do to figure out, I've got this guy and I can't play this guy anymore, so I've got to figure that out. But with you guys, it's like you're kind of set in your rhythm. Do you know what I mean?
It's been the thing with the team as well. Like, the team has fallen into place in just a magnificent way. And now, like, you get to a place where it feels like the players have been playing together for 5 years. Like, only been 1 or 2 years, and just it's crazy. It's just crazy to see. But yeah, like, ultimately, I've seen a few bits and bolts of Chelsea game. And, like, the sense that I get from it is that there's definitely a lot of potential there, and there's like definitely some strong points as well. So that's why I'm saying, like, I don't think there's no way for PSG is going to be as easy a game as Real Madrid. I'm expecting a lot more challenge, honestly. But yeah, like, I feel pretty confident that overall, like, our team is just like more balanced and kind of stronger overall. I think like your midfield is probably on par with ours, but I think like the line of attack has potential, but it's probably not as battle tested as ours.
Exactly that.
Like, even with Pacho suspended, like, I still feel we've got that little edge on you, especially with the goalkeeper as well. So like, we'll see, but yeah, like, there's a few differences there.
It's funny you mentioned the goalkeeper, and you said you watched my preview. Like, I 100% think that. Well, not 100% think, but I will not be surprised if the reason that we lose this game is because your outrageously high press takes advantage of Sanchez. He's like, what do I do? And then puts the ball in the back of his own net, which we've seen him do before. You know what? Honestly,
I saw you say that, and like, literally, I was watching the video.
No, I'm sure every Chelsea fan feels like that at the moment. And the thing is, it's like, to look at your goalkeeper as well, Donnarumma, who, despite not being super old, has been playing since he was 16 years old. So he's got a full career's worth of experience to go into games like this. Whereas we've got Sanchez, who, like I say, he just like forgets that he's in the middle of a football game sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And I think you'll target that. Do you know what I mean? I'm almost sure Luis Enrique has said to Dembele and Desiree Doué and Kvaratskhelia to say, like, their goalkeeper is going to make a mistake. Make sure you are there when that happens.
And I mean, I don't even think it's Chelsea specific at this point, because we've been doing it to like Courtois or to Neuer and Bayern the goalkeeper as well, who are like all really well known for being really strong with their feet. And even Neuer, like, they came really close from like scoring one just based on that. Like pressing the goalkeeper and like really rushing him every time he gets the ball. So I definitely assume that's going to be something that we do as well.
Yeah, I mean, you just would, wouldn't you? You got to, and the thing is, even if we had Courtois or a Neuer, like with the rest of the team, you would argue that PSG have probably got the advantage. And like I say, but we don't have that. We've got Robert Sanchez. So, I'm a little bit worried about that one. But he has had some good games specifically in this competition. So as long as he can kind of be that version of Sanchez and not the one we're all scared of, then maybe we've got a shot.
And I mean, look, ultimately it's a final as well, so we know like anything can happen, especially in these types of game. And like, you know, I was thinking of Chelsea, and like ultimately you guys won the Conference League, so like you've done like high level finals this year, and got through it, so you have that experience of being able to like really go into those games the right way. If you look at the Champions League final, for example, and the way Inter like just didn't exist in that game, like they like didn't come out of the locker room. I'm absolutely like not expecting from you guys, because like there's that experience as well. Maybe like your players will be able to just like play at the best of their game for that thing.
It's kind of another thing I said in my match preview. So for this, as much as it is about like how does Enzo Maresca match up tactically with Luis Enrique, and you know, where does he put the players on the pitch? The other thing for me, because this is a final, this is a real opportunity for Enzo Maresca to show what a man manager he is. Can he inspire this group of early 20-year-old players to go out and go toe-to-toe with the champions? And for me, I think that is probably even more important than how we set up. Because I've looked a little bit, like I've been looking through PSG's like games in this tournament and the stats, and so it seems if you can be a possession dominant team and you'll win. You can be a team that sits back a little bit because the other team has possession and you're going to win. So what that says to me instantly is there isn't like a cheat code that we can do to set up in a way that you're not expecting, because you've proven over all of these games that if you've got all the ball, you're going to score. And if you don't have all the ball, you're still going to score. So that for me says, can Enzo Maresca get in that room and say to Cole Palmer and, you know, maybe Liam Delap and Reece James, it's like, this is a final, man. This is a final, and kind of bring something out in that passionate sort of way. And maybe we can dig out a 1-0 win just by getting dirty and not dirty, but you know what I mean? Just kind of getting stuck in,
like
and
working something out on the pitch. And I think like when it comes to PSG, like we've actually seen a couple of teams like either beat us or like get really close. And I think that was Botafogo who actually did beat us, and Bayern Munich was really like for us the toughest game. And it's funny because they've done it in like completely different way. Botafogo, they just like parked the bus and like we were playing a lot of substitutes. We weren't on good form. It was the beginning of the competition, so we weren't really creating much, and they managed to score like, you know, a deflected shot on the counter, like really super lucky after creating nothing, and we went near like that. On the other side, you've got Bayern Munich, where like they really came at us and like maintained a really like high press, very physical, very impressive throughout the game. I was expecting them to drop like after a while, but kudos to them. They really maintained it, and like they actually forced us to play like very differently from the way we usually play, and we managed to eke out the win out of that. I think that one was for us was like the most challenging game we've played this competition, and one we could very easily have lost as well.
And that's the thing, isn't it? The Botafogo game is like a really interesting one, an example, because what you would initially be doing is looking at the only game that PSG have lost in this entire tournament and saying, do what they did. But like you say, man, there's so much more nuance to it than that. It was like a rotated team, and do you know what I mean? I don't, and as I've said, you know, that was kind of a one-off because
Dembele, we didn't have Barcola up front as well, so a lot of our firepower was missing. 100%. But I think PSG, like, ultimately, you're right. Like, the team has developed a lot of versatility, because when Luis Enrique started, like a couple of seasons back, you know, initially he was really that like cookie cutter old Barca coach trying to do tiki taka and like have 70% possession and short passes and so on. And I think this season they've really developed the ability to hit on the counter as well, and have like that lot of verticality in their game. And I think that's where Dembele has been amazing. Like Hakimi has been amazing in that context. Now we have a team who can like respond in different ways depending on the way the team opposite plays and the way the game goes. And I think this competition as well, what's been really impressive is our defense. Because throughout the season, like we've been a team that's always very comfortable getting scored on, because we know we're putting a lot of firepower up front, and you know, like accepting the fact that we're taking chances because we're trying to create something up front. And this competition, like literally the Botafogo goal is the only goal we've conceded. It's crazy. And like
scored, man. 17 goals. Crazy.
Oh, it's crazy. And like, you see like the way we played against Real Madrid. I mean, like there was like 12 million things wrong with the way Real Madrid played that game, but ultimately they still have Mbappe and Vinicius up front. And yeah, we managed to put a lead on them. So that's pretty great to see. And Kane and Olise is around before.
For me, the kind of like you say, the Bayern Munich win is, I would argue, a lot more impressive than the Real Madrid one. And that's just because Real Madrid, like Chelsea, is still in transition. Real Madrid are at the absolute beginning of their new transition, and they're trying out new stuff and getting new players. So part of me thinks that Real Madrid have been treating this tournament almost like a extension of their preseason, rather than being like, this is the team. You know, Xabi Alonso's Xabi Alonso's new coach. You know, the question, where does Mbappe play and how do we get Mbappe and Vinny into the same lineup? That's been going on for the whole last season. So, you know, like kind of like you said at the start, I expect Chelsea to come out and give a lot more fight than Real Madrid did, because we are that much further through our project progression.
I think Real Madrid as well, like, they largely self-destructed as well. They came in and obviously, like, they had 2 goals scored on them within the first 10 minutes. So at this point, like, the game is completely different from whatever they had planned. But even in that first 10 minutes, I didn't get the sense that they had a strong plan to go into it. And they did what, to me, is potentially the worst way to play against PSG, which is they sat in the middle of the pitch, didn't have a high press on one end, didn't park the bus on the other. And they were like, you know, they're at the beginning of their project, but also like they're not a team that's defending cohesively in a very structured manner. And so for us, it was just like, it's golden. Like, when you play like PSG and you're like really like now very used to knocking the ball around and creating space and passing into the space, it's too easy, like, honestly. And I think Chelsea in that context, like, I mean, I've got a lot of respect for your midfield in particular. And I think, you know, Vitinha during the Real Madrid game, like, literally could like keep the ball in his feet for 15 seconds, look around, walk around, see what's going on, and then like find the pass. And just for a player like this, you cannot do that. So I think that's where, like, you know, Chelsea is definitely going to give us a lot more challenge there.
Yeah, and I think Moises Caicedo should hopefully be available for this game. Obviously, he got injured in our last game, but that is
hopefully not, you mean, right?
Huh?
You mean hopefully not, right?
Well, obviously, but it's I don't. It's one of those things. Like, we've got lots of ways that we could maybe win this game, but I don't think any of them happen if we haven't got Moises Caicedo on the pitch. I think, like you say, because your midfield is so robust, and you've got João Neves out, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to come in for him, do you think?
I think, like, I'm expecting. I expect João Neves to be chasing Enzo.
Is João Neves not out for the game? Is it?
No, he's playing.
Oh, okay.
The one that's out is Pacho, who's our central defender, who took a red card against Bayern. But our midfield 3, it's Vitinha in number 6, and then like João Neves is kind of a box-to-box, like runs everywhere kind of player. And Fabian Ruiz also like does a lot of work, like moving between attack and defense, covers on the left when Nuno Mendes goes deep. Kind of handles the whole balance on the team on the left side of midfield.
Oh, okay. I could have sworn I'd read somewhere that João Neves was suspended or something, but evidently not. You've got your full strength midfield. Brilliant. Yes, can't wait for that. But no, I think the game will be won and lost in midfield for this game, right? And you know what? Obviously, Chelsea have been doing a lot is experimenting with inverting fullbacks. I expect Marc Cucurella to play that role this time. So I imagine that our midfield will probably be essentially a trio of Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Marc Cucurella. And if the thing is, if Malo Gusto plays, which I kind of hope he doesn't for this game, because I think he can be erratic, and you know that can be good sometimes. But for this game, we just need solidity. So I think in attack, we're probably looking at Reece James, Trevor Chalobah, and Levi Colwill as like a back 3, and then a midfield of essentially a midfield of Cucurella, Caicedo, and Fernandez. And then obviously, you know, the front line will be whatever it will be. But I think if we can overload that midfield a bit, that might give us a shot at just, obviously it's about taking advantage of your high press, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we've got Cucurella and Moises Caicedo getting in everyone's way, we know that Enzo Fernandez can launch a pass over the top of it. So, and specifically João Pedro's just come in, looks like he's a really good player to make those darting runs. So that's the kind of thing, if we're going to win this game, that's the kind of thing I think I can see it happening by. But like I said, Moises Caicedo, kind of N'Golo Kante 2.0, right? A little bit different, but he's kind of got that energy and stamina to try and cover a few players at the same time, and he's got really good awareness. So for me, if we've got any chance of winning this game, it's either going to be a moment of magic from someone like a Cole Palmer, or it's going to be one well-played moment where we take advantage of your high press. Enzo Fernandez does something, or maybe a Reece James gets a long ball over, and someone like a João Pedro uses that obviously pace and power he's got to run through and maybe slip it past the keeper. Other than that, we're not gonna outpass you. We're not gonna outpress you. So I think it's an interesting one, because with Maresca, he's pretty dogged in his tactical setup, right? He doesn't really like to shift around too much. But I would hope that, this is clearly the most difficult game that he will have been in since he joined. Do you know what I mean? Hands down. So I would kind of hope to see that he's willing to be a little bit flexible, because if we try and play our game, which is ball, slowly pass it around and look for openings, that press is just going to tear us apart, man.
I was going to ask about this actually, because I heard somewhere, I think in one of the podcasts or videos I was listening to, literally French people saying Chelsea probably at this point as the strongest team when it comes to positional football in the UK. And I think when you play against PSG, obviously that's a great starting point to have, but our game is based a lot on movement, on the high tempo, on pressing. So you do need to have that flexibility and that ability to think on the fly on what spaces are there or are going to be there or that you need to cover. Curious to hear whether you think the team can adapt to that, or whether they'll have to force their game onto PSG to have any sort of chance.
So the question here is, do I think we will adapt to that or not, rather than if we can? I know we can adapt to that, because like I say, players like Marc Cucurella are really, really important for exactly the kind of thing you're talking about. It's all fine and good trying to play your game and whatever, but if we're keeping the ball and passing it around a lot, like I say, we're just going to get torn apart by that high press. But a player like Marc Cucurella, or even sometimes a Malo Gusto, can be in that midfield position 1 minute, but then a turnover happens, and the next second he is back there getting stuck in and making that clutch kind of block or tackle or challenge or whatever to, so I think that's what we need to do. I think that there needs to be an element of, we can't just go 4-4-2 and park the bus and do something we're not used to at all. Obviously, we need to keep some semblance of the game that we have been playing, because it has largely been working for us. But it is about, will we adapt to those moments, or will Maresca be stubborn in saying, no, I don't want you to change anything from the game plan, or I don't want you to make any of your own decisions. I want you to do this here, this here, this here. And because I haven't seen us play a game of this magnitude yet. Obviously we won the Conference League final against Real Betis, but we went in and played our game. We didn't change anything there, and we didn't really need to, because the level of opposition arguably was still kind of a bit below us, and you would expect us to be able to go out there and play our game. But against a Champions League winning PSG, who have scored 17 goals in this tournament and only conceded 1, I think adaptability, compared, for instance, Tottenham won the Europa League this year. So they spent their entire season, bar this one game, playing an outrageously high press, and that was it. And Ange Postecoglou was like, this is my style. But he got to the final and said, right, this is a final. We need to win this game, so we're going to change something. I think that kind of mentality is what wins these kind of tournaments. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying I want us to go crazy and like I say, park the bus and put 10 men behind the ball and just try and counter, because we're not used to playing that way. But I am hoping that Maresca looks at this game in isolation and says, right, I'm going to do something a little bit different here, because if I just try and play our game, we're going to get torn apart by the best midfield and front line in the entire world.
It's funny though, because honestly, I hear you talk, and I could literally replace the names, and I'd be saying the exact same thing about PSG a lot of times. Because Luis Enrique also does have like this kind of inflexibility in his tactical approach. I mean, like just doing what he wants to be doing. And there's been times this season where like, we've come close, or like we've been against opponents that were stronger on paper. Thinking of like the Liverpool game, for example, or even in the group phase. And yes, there's been time where he's been challenged and he's like just really stuck to his gun and ultimately like made that payoff. And I think even tactically, it's super interesting because the way you're talking about like players dropping into midfield to help out like the fullback, it's exactly something that we'd be doing. Like Hakimi. On his side, he's like literally like a fullback, a midfielder, and a number 9 all at the same time.
He's so good though, man.
It's been like insane. And so I think that's actually, it sounds like there's a lot of similarities between the two teams, which should be interesting because I don't think we've had that many opponents who were playing a similar style of game as well.
I think it's interesting because both managers, albeit for different reasons, use that kind of Barcelona DNA as the foundation of their tactical structures, don't they? Obviously, Maresca is a Pep disciple. That's what we call him in the UK. Like same as Arteta, where they obviously, spent a lot of time with him, and you can see similarities in the game. Luis Enrique obviously was one of the most successful Barcelona managers of all time. So I think at the absolute basics of the game, both of them, before anything else, think about control.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they're trying to base their game around. And both of them, and all of these Pep Guardiola / Barcelona inspired teams don't see fullbacks as fullbacks. Do you know what I mean? It's all very much like you're just another opportunity to be a midfielder, essentially. And, I remember when Pep Guardiola was at Bayern Munich and he'd only just joined, and he literally said something. He was like, I'd have 10 central midfielders in my team if I could. And although Pep and Luis Enrique aren't the same, do you know what I mean? I do think that there is that element of Barcelona, foundational DNA that these different kind of tactical approaches are built off. And obviously you can see the differences in our teams, right? Because Chelsea are slow, patient build up and looking for opportunities. But PSG are very much like, let's press, fast passes, quick transitions, that kind of thing. But both of the core elements of both of our strategies are based on control.
So PSG, there's really two things tactically that I think really work really well for us. One, you're right, like the high press and getting the transition and getting the possession back, ideally like really high on the pitch, so we can transition very quickly into an offensive situation. But then, like I said, like the team has also developed a great ways to play, like in terms of verticality. And when you see player combining on the sides between like Hakimi, Doué, and like Joao Neves coming into midfield, even like Dembele like sliding into that right side as well. They've been able to they switch positions as well in real time. They create space for each other and pass into the space. And they've really been able to create stuff this way. You see the third goal that we scored against Real Madrid, like the second goal from Ruiz, which is like that amazing, almost counter attack, starting from Donnarumma. Literally in 15 seconds, we're scoring at the other end of the pitch. And it's trademark PSG, exactly, super vertical, but like the ability of Hakimi to project, Doué to drop a little bit to create some space for him to go into, and then passing into the space, crossing into a midfielder that followed and went into the box. And that's just that's been amazing to see, because you're right, at the core, you do see the Barcelona Pep trademark of holding possession and short passes and so on, but there's definitely something more at play there as well.
I think it's that mix of modern football, right? Because obviously what we've seen in the last sort of 5 years especially, but a little bit before that, is athleticism has become so much more important than it used to be. Not to say it wasn't important before, but I can't help but feel a player, for instance, like Cesc Fabregas would struggle more in today's game because he's expected to run so much more, right? So, what we seem to be...
Just look at the Real Madrid team. That's exactly where the drawback was, because even in midfield, the games they played against us, you've got Arda Güler in midfield, you've got Bellingham in midfield, you do have some amazing technicians. Valverde was playing on the right of defense, but still, Tchouaméni is physical, but he's a great technician as well. And they don't exist because they just cannot work as hard as we did.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? That's almost like the modern stamp of football, where we are right now. Maybe it changes again in the future because it always, changes and new trends and cycles come in. But it does seem to be that, like you say, it is just so much about. Yeah, exactly. But it's just so important to be able to keep up the pace, right? And what we used to look at players like Willian, the old Willian in our team, and people used to kind of look down on him because at the time he wasn't as creative and stuff, and as like an Eden Hazard or whatever. Yeah. But a player like that in a team today, he's like the perfect kind of player for this modern style of football. So it's just interesting how only 5 or 6 years ago, we'd look at a player like that and be like, oh, you don't offer anything else apart from running. And now that is the foundation of what you need. And if you've got technique and you're a good technician on top of that, then you're probably a top player. But it almost doesn't matter how good you are technically if you can't meet that kind of required minimum amount of athleticism to get on the pitch in the first place.
Yeah, fair. So who do you think, within the Chelsea side, who do you think is going to be the difference maker player on the pitch that we should be watching out for? You talked about Caicedo earlier. Is it really the one?
I think not necessarily the difference maker. I think we've got no chance without Caicedo, but I don't necessarily think that he'd be the reason that we win the game. I think he's the reason that we're able to compete. Do you know what I mean? And to kind of get us there in the first place. But if we are going to win, do you know what? I've kind of got two in my head, and they're both for really different reasons. It's either going to be someone like Cole Palmer, like I say, you can just create a moment of magic, and we've seen it loads of times with Cole Palmer now. He can, against the grain of the game, if we're doing really badly, he is able to just pop up and make something happen. But honestly, in my head, and I put it in my thumbnail, I think someone like Marc Cucurella. Because Marc Cucurella, he scored 7 goals last season, man. Do you know what I mean? So, and largely when he scored these goals, he was one of the only players to score in that game. Marc Cucurella doesn't score goals in a game where we're 2 or 3-0 up or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Marc Cucurella can appear out of absolutely nowhere. And I think that his energy and his ability to play in midfield will be really important for helping us trying to counteract you. And I've just got this sneaky suspicion that someone like a Marc Cucurella could be the difference maker because, like I say, 7 goals. We haven't had a fullback score 7 goals in a season since Ivanovic. Do you know what I mean? And it's pretty unheard of. So Marc Cucurella is an occasion player. Do you know what I mean? And I know that sounds crazy because everyone's going to say, it's João Pedro or it's Cole Palmer or whatever. Yeah. But he's next to Moises Caicedo. Marc Cucurella is easily our most consistent player. He's had 0 backup for the entire season. Do you know what I mean? Well, we had Renato Vega for a little while, but he's playing every game and he's not looking tired. He still looks like he can go. So it's a bit of a weird shout. I know.
We've got the exact same thing on our hand in Hakimi. It's he scored. I was just checking at the same time, apparently 11 goals between the league and the Champions League. So also super high scoring, and he scored in the big game. He scored the first one in the final of the Champions League. He scored a couple of times in the Club World Cup as well. And same thing. He's played the whole season. Hakimi's season started in the Olympics in Paris, which I don't know if you remember. That was about 45 years ago, and he hasn't played out since then. It's insane. It's just insane. And he runs literally the length of the pitch 5 times per minute. It's just crazy.
It's crazy, man. I remember when you bought Hakimi, we were in for him and we were talking to him, and I was really, really excited. And I was like, so because he was at Inter Milan, was it before? And I was like, I really want this guy. And then you got him, and I was like, no. And it's been a little bit of a sore spot watching Hakimi turn into one of the best players in the world at PSG. But he just looks so comfortable in that team, man. And has the batteries. He can just keep going.
Yeah, it took us a while as well because I think those players, you really need to give them the proper structure around them to really get the best out of them. And I know past season under Galtier, under Pochettino, obviously coach that weren't as creative with their players. And he was more restrained in terms of covering in defense and doing more of a traditional right fullback job. But he's really blossomed against Luis Enrique in a way that's impressive. And I mean, I don't know if you saw, but like, there's been a lot of a bit of like laughter among PSG fans, and like, I don't know the name of like the Chelsea influencer who did a combined 11 where he put Cucurella and Reece James ahead of Hakimi and Nuno Mendes. But yeah, like, I think like some people might be in for a rough awakening when they see.
Yeah. So I wouldn't put, don't get me wrong, I think Reece James is one of the best kind of right backs in the world on his day when he can stay fit, but obviously Hakimi gets out in front of him at the moment. Marc Cucurella though, I'd back that battle. Do you know what I mean? I'd back the battle for Marc Cucurella. Cucurella is my boy. But no, don't get me wrong, Nuno Mendes is obviously like amazing, but Marc Cucurella he's just got something special about him, man, and he's just been so consistent, and also he's come back from a really difficult start, and I always love that about a player, because when he came to Chelsea, his first season was torrid, it was awful, and he was getting a lot of stick as well, but he battled through it and has emerged as one of our senior players now, right? Like in a team full of kids, essentially. Marc Cucurella is not a leader, but he's an example of what you need to be to get in our team. So yeah, man. I mean, the thing is, PSG's success kind of dictates that any starting 11, a combined starting 11, is mostly going to be full of PSG players, especially in stuff like defense, which is where leagues are won. But I would back Marc Cucurella to get in that team over Nuno Mendes personally.
I think that one is a little bit more of a question, but like, Hakimi has been playing like.
For sure.
We're wondering if like him or Dembele should be Ballon d'Or. That's kind of the level that we're talking about. So like, you can't put anyone against him right now. He's just unplayable.
No, 100%. I agree with that. No, definitely, Hakimi is the man.
Yeah, I think for us, I completely understand what you're getting at with like looking at a few different players as kind of difference makers. And I think for us, like players like Hakimi, like Dembele, obviously, like if they're at their top level right now, it's just impossible to play. And I do think they'll have a big role as well. I think the other one is Beraldo in central defense, who's the Brazilian who's replacing Pacho. Because I think. If I look at the firepower that you guys have up front, honestly, like I feel like we're going to be missing Pacho a whole lot because Beraldo and Marquinhos actually like are very much the same kind of profile of defender, like technically skilled, but not so much with the physicality, not so much with the runs, not that great at like covering the space in their back. So for very different reasons, like both Delap and the Brazilian on the left, they're both making, João Pedro, they're both making me pretty nervous about this. He's played a great game against Real Madrid. He came in at a way higher level that we were expecting, and ultimately, like the game he's played this season, he played the first game against Aston Villa, for example, and played a pretty decent game. So we'll have to see, but I worry that it's kind of like the player who might be in difficulty in our team.
I think the thing about João Pedro is interesting as well, isn't it? Because he's so new, even to us, it's unpredictable, and it's difficult for Luis Enrique to say. When he's doing his team talks and he's doing his tactical setup, he's saying, right, João Pedro is going to play here, here, and here, and this is what you need to expect from him. I think it's really difficult to do that because you can only look at really how he played in Brighton. And if he starts on the left wing for us in this game, that's a brand new position. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of and that's kind of one thing that I said in my preview. I'm hoping that unpredictability of that, maybe putting a João Pedro on the left can kind of make it difficult to set up a plan for him.
I'll tell you what, like Luis Enrique in this kind of situation, like the plan that he's going to tell is like, let's not get the ball, like travel all the way to those guys and let's just like shut them out in midfield. And that's really going to be the direction. And then like behind, obviously like there's plans and there's more to it, but like that's going to be the approach. It's been funny as well because in lots of cases, that's the way PSG has been able to like kind of like damn down the weak points of our game. And I remember specifically like the matchup against Arsenal in the Champions League. Everyone was predicting hell for us on the free kicks and corners and set pieces. And ultimately, like the way we did it is that we didn't concede set pieces. The best way to like get rid of a weakness, just like getting rid of the situation in the first place.
I mean, that's smart, man. That's smart. That's advanced managerial tactics. Do you know what I mean? And that's the other thing as well, isn't it? Luis Enrique is been around a while, a lot longer than Arteta and a lot longer than Enzo Maresca for sure. So that's another advantage that you guys have got. Do you know what I mean? Is Luis Enrique has just kind of been there and done it a bit more often.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you think? What's your prediction for the game?
I am going to generously say that PSG win 2-1.
Yeah.
And you know that is in and around the minimum that I would walk away with a smile on my face. 2-0, I'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
If it's any more than that, then I'll be really disappointed. And that's not to say that I don't think there's a chance we can win the game, as we've talked about it a bit. Yes, I do think we've got an opportunity there, but I think you guys are just a machine, man. I think you guys are just a machine. And I'm generously going to say 2-1. How about you?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Honestly, I'm having a really hard time predicting PSG game because, like, if we walk in on a good day, like, we could put 4 past you. Like, you know, I think there's a world in which it could happen. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that's going to be the case for this game. But yeah, I like the preview I did of the Champions League final. I said, you know, like, there's a world in which, like, we dominate and we just score early and, like, just steamroll through the whole game, which is exactly what happened. So there is a world in which it happened. I think, like, ultimately for this game, I think Chelsea is strong, so I'll definitely take the 2-1. I think 2-1, 3-1, something like this is probably where it ends up. It's been hard as well because I think like the level of physical fitness has been such a big component in this competition, and I think teams are at like such different levels. And you guys have played against mostly like South American teams, so it's very hard to gauge exactly where you guys are. When for us, like, you know, we still make it happen, but the players are like really on the last fume of gas in the tank. So yeah, it's kind of hard this way.
Yeah, and we've got a little bit. That's one thing that we've kind of got as well, is because we've got, you know, these kind of newer players like yes, Liam Delap played the whole of last season, but he only played in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? We've got João Pedro, who's kind of new and fresh as well. So we've still got some legs in our game. So, you know, maybe that is something that we can rely on as well. But yeah, man, I'd like to be positive and predict a win, but I'm objective before anything, right? I've got to try and be objective.
No, I hear you. I think like honestly, like the way I'm looking at it is like honestly, like very truthfully, I expect a much harder game than Real Madrid, but I expect a slightly easier one than Bayern Munich.
Yeah. That
where I rank it.
That totally makes sense, man. That totally makes sense. And the thing is, like, I can just see it being Robert Sanchez that lets us down. Do you know what I mean? It's like we could play a really good game, and you know everything I've talked about with Moises Caicedo and Cucurella and Cole Palmer, like that could all happen, and we could just lose because of Robert Sanchez.
Your centre backs as well aren't like filling me with total confidence. Obviously, I don't know them as much as you do, but if I look at what Dembele did with Asensio and Rudiger in the first 10 minutes of the Real Madrid game, it definitely feels that the high press on those three. Yeah, I'd be happy with that because I want Dembele to score so he rubber stamps the Ballon d'Or, and like, you know, Yamal fan can just sit back down and leave us alone on that one.
I think the centre back situation is they're absolutely not like top level centre backs as of right now, but that little bit of that pressure's taken off because we changed to a back three in attack. It's like when we won the league with Conte. Do you know what I mean? A back three categorically means your centre backs don't have to be as good because you've got that extra body. So I would expect us to kind of go in on that. And, you know, you see it a lot. It's normally Levi Colwill in the middle, but it could be Levi Colwill in the middle and either Reece James or Chalobah or, you know, Tosin Adarabioyo either side of him. So, no, do I think our centre backs in a more regular two centre back, we'd get annihilated, absolutely annihilated. But I think just the idea of having a third defensive presence there, that instantly takes a lot of that pressure off because you've just got the extra man.
No, that makes sense. Cool, man. Any last word before we close?
Bon chance, huh?
Yeah. Good luck to you too. Not too much though.
Man,
it's a tiny trophy.
Yeah. Well, the trophy looks cool, man. The trophy looks cool. And I'll tell you what, maybe we should do a review after the game, depending on what happens.
That'd be a pleasure, man. For sure.
Yeah, cool.
Sounds good. We'll set up something. All right, thanks, man. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment the video, drop your predictions on both of our channels. Hit the bell, do all of the things that you guys know how to do. And we'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.
Awesome, man.